It is day 4 of Daytona Bike Week, and had a great day today. It was kind of a very funny day in ways. But the first thing we did was we went to Cracker Barrel outside the Daytona International Speedway, had breakfast, had a server named Eddie, was able to share the gospel with him and pray for some of his requests. Then we headed over to the Speedway. We had a little bit of time to kill between the appointment that I had this morning, and we ended up talking to Pete from Butt Buffer for quite a while, probably a half hour or so, and the phone rang, and I walked over to get away from them so I could have a conversation. And I was near the Honda booth, and there was a really nice brand new Honda Talon, which is their 4x4 off-road vehicle, sitting there. And one of the Honda people was there, and she's pointing at it and smiling like, "You want this? You want this?" And when I finally got off the phone, she said, "Come on, come over here and sit in this." I said, "No, if I sit in it, I'll want it." I said, "It's quite a machine," and it was loaded with all kinds of accessories. And we had a nice conversation, and I told her why we were down here, and I told her about our off-road ministry. And she said, "Oh, that's really cool." So I said, "Yeah." I said, "Let me share something with you." So I pulled out, I was hoping I had one of my off-road gospels, but I didn't. So I pulled out one of our camouflage ones, which looks kind of like this. And I pulled out one of our motorcycle ones. And I said, I wish I had one of the off road ones, but I don't. I said, "Which one of these would you like?" She said, "Oh, I definitely want the camo one." So I gave her to her, and she's from Southern California. And I asked if I could share something with her and pray with her. We talked about the gospel and what it meant. And she thought she was a Christian, but found out pretty quickly she wasn't. And so I put my hand on her shoulder and I prayed for Erin. Then I had an appointment with the sheriff's department to get fingerprinted for my concealed carry permit. So we rode over there. I went inside and told him I was here, sat down, and I'm looking around the room, and the guy to my left has got tattoos all over his arms, and I saw a big 305 tattooed on the one arm, and I thought, I wonder what that is. So I went online and Googled it. Turns out that's an identity of a person who is a black gangster from Miami. And I thought, oh, good. I wonder what he's here for. And then another guy comes in and he goes up. He said, "I need to register as a sex offender." And I'm thinking, wow, this is an interesting group of people I'm sitting in the foyer here with. So anyway, I had the fingerprints done. I shared the gospel with the fingerprint technician, went outside, and I was talking to Larry, and a crime scene van pulled in. And I just thought, well, I've never shared the gospel with someone who works at crime scenes. Let me go over and talk to him. So there was a lady in the van. I can't remember her name. And there was an intern in the van. And I told him I was a police officer in New Jersey on a SWAT team. I said, "I've never shared the gospel with someone who does crime scene investigations. Could I share something with you and pray for you?" And they were like, "Yeah, sure." So I gave them each a police gospel card. I got their names and I prayed for both of them and for their salvation. Then, in the meantime, I started walking back to the motorcycle, and a guy left the sheriff's department. He's walking down the street. I didn't think anything of it. Got our gear on, got on a motorcycle, started heading down the road, and then I see the guy bend down, flip over a flat rock on the side of the road, and pick up his drug stash. He dropped it off before going into the sheriff's department and was picking it up on the way out. I was like, "You gotta be kidding me." So anyway, we left there, ended up meeting Wild Bill for America in Port Orange. He wanted to introduce me to some people from Montana. And while we were sitting there talking about the Lord and ministry and churches and issues with, trying to get into churches and stuff, I saw this lady in full camo walk by. She's obviously in the military. And I kind of got up and I went over. I said, "Excuse me, man, can I thank you for your service to our country?" And her name was Courtney. She's a captain in the Army. And I asked if I could share something with her and pray for her. And she said, "Sure." So I pulled out a camo covered Gospel of John. I said, "See, it looks just like the uniform that you're wearing." And was able to share with her and pray with her. Then we ended up going up to Iron Horse Saloon, which is, there's a whole bunch of vendors and stuff up there up on US 1. So we went up there, we wandered through and just looked around. I was looking for a pair of gloves because my gloves are getting holes in them, and got to share the police gospel card with two motor officers. And as we were walking through on our way out, there was this ministry table there. So I stopped and talked to them, and I saw they had a whole bunch of gospel literature, including 1 Second After You Die, which is one of the books that I like to recommend to people when they encounter agnostics or atheists. And I'm talking to the guy. It turns out he's from Charlotte. And I said, I said, "Here, let me give you my card." And he takes a look at my card. He goes, "No way. You're the Don Sunshine, the world famous Don Sunshine that I hear on 106.9 The Light all the time. You do all these trainings with them, and you were speaking at their Sporting Clays event. You told a story about this guy who wrestled an 8-point buck into the trunk of his car. I never thought I'd get a chance to meet you. And this guy that I know from New York State who lent us this hot rod for, I think they call it there's a ministry using hot rods. And he goes, he keeps telling me, you need to get Don Sunshine into your church. You need to get Don in your church. He goes, I can't remember his name. And I said, Don? He goes, yeah, that's it. And I didn't use his last name right now, but I used his last name with this guy. And he says, yeah, that's the guy. That's the guy. So we had a great time of fellowship. And then we left, and it was about dinner time. So a bunch of us got together. We went out to Hooligans for dinner, got a nice waitress named Sammy. She was getting her first home the next day and was closing on it. And so we prayed for her, prayed for her home, and prayed for her salvation. So it was a great day of ministry. Keep us in your prayers. We're trying to be faithful with the opportunities that God gives us every day. And we'll see what He has in store for us tomorrow.